sang together, they rehearsed together, they starved together. And when the checks finally came, they were robbed together. These were the groups that built the Motown empire with their voices, their sweat, and their youth. And most of them never saw a fraction of what they were owed. Me back, break my heart and leave me. 10 Motown groups, 10 stories of stolen royalties, crooked contracts, and industry greed so brazen it will make your jaw drop. Stay until the end, because number 1 will change the way you hear their music forever. Number 10, the Marvelettes. We start at number 10, and we start at the very beginning of the Motown story. Because without the Marvelettes, there may have been no Motown empire at all. In 1961, Please Mr. Postman became the first Motown record to reach number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100. The first, and it was the Marvelettes Gladys Horton, Wyanetta Cowart, Georgiana Tillman, Katherine Anderson, and Juanita Cowart, 5 teenage girls from Inkster, Michigan, who delivered it. They were teenagers, minors, signing contracts they did not fully understand, with a label that had every legal and financial advantage over them. Please Mr. Postman became a landmark record. It was later covered by the Beatles and then by the Carpenters, generating decades of additional revenue. But the Marvelettes saw almost none of that money. Their original royalty rates were minuscule. The label owned the masters. The songwriting credits were structured in ways that minimized what the performers received. Georgiana Tillman, one of the original members, developed lupus and sickle cell anemia and was forced to leave the group. She passed in 1980 at just 34 years old, leaving behind almost no financial legacy from a record that had made Motown's entire enterprise possible. Gladys Horton, the lead voice on that historic single, spent much of her later life fighting for recognition and fair compensation. She suffered a stroke and spent years in assisted living before her passing in 2011. The women who gave Motown its first number 1 deserved so much more than they ever received. What makes it even harder to swallow is that Please Mr. Postman never stopped making money, it just stopped making money for them. Oh, yeah. Covers, commercials, film placements, and streaming have kept that song alive for over 60 years. The Marvelettes built something that outlasted them all, and the label collected every cent of it. Please, Mr. Number 9, the Four Tops. 4 men, one of the tightest vocal groups in the history of recorded music. And a contract situation so locked down it bordered on indentured servitude. Levi Stubbs, Duke Fakir, Lawrence Payton, and Obie Benson, the Four Tops, delivered hit after hit for Motown throughout the 1960s. I Can't Help Myself, Reach Out, I'll Be There, Bernadette. These were not just songs, these were anthems, stadium-filling, radio-dominating, era-defining anthems, but the Four Tops had virtually no control over their own careers. Like most Motown artists, they did not choose their producers. They did not pick their songs. They did not negotiate their touring fees independently. Motown operated on a system where the label controlled every variable: the writing, the production, the image. The scheduling and the artists received a preset royalty that was calculated after the label deducted expenses the artists never approved and often never even saw receipts for. Studio time, deducted. Wardrobe, deducted. Promotional costs, deducted. Travel, deducted. By the time those deductions hit, many Motown groups received royalty checks that were shocking in how small they were relative to what the records actually earned. The Four Tops eventually left Motown in 1972, moving to ABC Dunhill, then to Casablanca, searching for a fairer deal that always seemed just out of reach. Levi Stubbs, the legendary lead voice, spent his final years battling serious health challenges and financial strain that no man with that catalogue should ever have faced. 4 incredible careers, decades of timeless music. A financial return that never once matched the cultural contribution. What is hardest to accept is that the Four Tops were loyal. They stayed together without a single lineup change for over 4 decades, one of the most stable groups in music history. That loyalty was never matched by the industry that profited from them. Loyalty, it turns out, was just another thing Motown took for free.
Quick question, are you subscribed? If not, you're part of the 99% who watch and disappear. Here's the problem, YouTube won't show you our next video unless you subscribe. So if you want more untold music stories like this, hit that button right now, 2 seconds, do it before you forget.
Number 8, The Contours. This one might surprise you because The Contours gave Motown one of its most electrifying early moments, and history has nearly forgotten what was done to them. Do You Love Me dropped in 1962 and was an instant smash, a wild, frantic, explosive track that became one of the defining party records of the entire decade. It hit number 3 on the Billboard Hot 100 and made the Contours one of the hottest acts on the Motown roster, seemingly overnight. But here is where the story turns ugly fast. Berry Gordy and the Motown machine were already pivoting their focus and resources toward acts they considered more commercially polished. The Contours were raw, rowdy, and unpredictable, exactly what the kids loved, and exactly what the label's pop crossover ambitions didn't have room for. Promotion dried up. Follow-up singles were poorly supported. The machinery that could have made them superstars was quietly redirected elsewhere. And the money from Do You Love Me? The royalty structure on that record, like virtually every early Motown contract, was built to benefit the label first, last, and always. The Contours saw a modest payday from a record that earned many times what they were given. When the group eventually disbanded and reformed over the years, the members found themselves with no ownership stake in the music that had defined their lives and no reliable royalty income to speak of. They performed oldies circuits and nostalgia tours for decades, not by choice, but out of economic necessity. A hit that should have set them up for life. Instead, it made Berry Gordy's label a little richer and left the Contours working for the rest of theirs. And the cruelest part, Do You Love Me got a massive second life in the 1987 film Dirty Dancing, introducing it to an entirely new generation and sending it back up the charts. The Contours were still alive when that happened. They watched their song explode again, and they saw almost none of that new wave of money either. Number 7, Martha Reeves and the Vandellas.
For dancing in the street.
Martha Reeves and the Vandellas. And if you want to understand how completely Motown controlled its artists, this story is the blueprint. Dancing in the Street, Nowhere to Run, Heatwave. Martha Reeves and the Vandellas were one of the hardest working, hardest hitting acts on the entire Motown roster throughout the 1960s. Their sound was grittier, more urgent, more viscerally soulful than much of what the label was packaging for mainstream pop radio, and audiences absolutely loved them for it. But Martha Reeves spent years not even knowing she was a recording artist under contract. She had started as a secretary at Motown, answering phones, doing administrative work before her voice caught the attention of producers and she was pulled into the studio. And her transition from employee to artist happened so quickly and so informally that the contractual paperwork was, by many accounts, handled entirely on Motown's terms, with no independent counsel for Martha whatsoever. She was paid a weekly salary at various points, not royalties. A salary. For records that were selling hundreds of thousands of copies. When she eventually sought to understand and renegotiate the terms under which she was operating, the label's legal machinery was deployed against her. She suffered a breakdown in the early 1970s, a direct result, she has said, of the pressure and exploitation she endured, and spent time away from music entirely. She emerged, rebuilt herself, and continued performing for decades. But the catalogue she built, the masters, the publishing, almost none of it ever came back to her. Martha Reeves gave Motown some of its most powerful recordings, and Motown gave her a salary and a headache in return. She later became a Detroit City Council member, perhaps the most fitting response possible. The woman Motown refused to treat with dignity went on to serve the very city that Motown abandoned when it moved to Los Angeles in 1972. Detroit remembered Martha Reeves even when the label did not. Number 6, the Isley Brothers. And this one is a story of exploitation, followed by one of the most remarkable escapes in music business history.
You're going shopping, why didn't you just check it?
The Isley Brothers began their recording career before Motown.
You a lie. I called Keisha and Tanya and they were both at.
But their time with Berry Gordy's operation in the early 1960s planted seeds of frustration that would define their entire approach to the business going forward.
Earlier, you said dancing, but when I
While at Motown, the Isleys recorded but were given little creative control and saw modest financial returns.
just asked, you said shopping, tell me which.
They watched their music get the Motown machine treatment packaged, produced and promoted on the label's terms, with royalty structures that worked in the label's favor at every turn.
Talk to me.
I was with my girl when she got some bad.
What makes the Isley Brothers' story different from almost everyone else on this list is what they did about it.
You're playing around. Go upstairs.
In 1969, they founded their own label, T-Neck Records, and they became among the first black music groups of their era to own their masters, control their publishing, and structure their own deals.
And get you out of here now.
Ronald, Rudolph, and O'Kelly Isley looked at what Motown had done to their peers and decided never again.
Dancing where? The name of the club.
Kisses.
The results were extraordinary. That Lady, Fight the Power, Between the Sheets, Voyage to Atlantis.
What time it is?
1 or 2.
What time it is?
3, 4.
Decades of creative and commercial success, and this time the money flowed to them.
Go upstairs and get you.
No.
But the early Motown years cost them. Recordings they gave their voices and time to those masters remained with the label. That early catalogue continued generating revenue the Isleys never saw.
You a lie. I call Keisha and Tanya and they were born.
They built an empire in spite of the system, but the system still took what it could for as long as it could. And for that, the Isley Brothers earned their spot on this list. Think about what it says that the Isleys had to build an entirely separate label infrastructure just to be treated fairly. That was not an accident, it was a necessity.
Go upstairs and get your body.
The fact that they succeeded is a testament to their brilliance. The fact that it was necessary at all is an indictment of every label that came before T-Neck.
Here now.
Baby, I'm a victim of circumstance.
Number 5, The Miracles. We are halfway through, and number 5 might be the most complicated story we tell today.
I think it's high time you knew whenever I think of you.
Because this one involves a man who was both victim and, some would argue, a participant in the very system that exploited him.
My mind blows up you, baby. When I look at
Smokey Robinson and the Miracles. Smokey, songwriter, producer, vice president of Motown, and one of Berry Gordy's closest confidants.
I'm sure you can find out how to turn me on.
On the surface, it would seem like Smokey Robinson had every advantage. And compared to most artists on this list, he did. But the Miracles as a group, William Mickey Stevenson, Ronnie White, Bobby Rogers, Pete Moore, and Claudette Rogers were operating under the same foundational Motown contract structure that disadvantaged everyone. And the group members who did not share Smokey's special relationship with Gordy felt the financial squeeze acutely. The Miracles' catalogue was extraordinary. Shop Around, Tears of a Clown. I second that emotion. Tracks of My Tears, a song Paul McCartney once called one of the greatest ever written. These recordings generated enormous and sustained revenue. But group members recall royalty payments that were routinely delayed, accounting that was nearly impossible to audit, and a sense that the label's internal complexity was deliberately designed to obscure how much money was actually being made and where it was going. When Smokey Robinson departed for his solo career in 1972, the remaining Miracles found themselves without their star. Without leverage, and without the financial foundation that decades of hit-making should have provided. The voice behind some of Motown's most beloved songs. The group that helped define what the label sounded like in its golden years. And a financial story that was far darker than the music ever let on. Ronnie White, one of the founding Miracles and the man who first brought a young Stevie Wonder to Berry Gordy's attention, passed in 1995 without the financial recognition his contributions warranted. He discovered one of the greatest artists of the 20th century and spent his final years in relative obscurity. The industry never once looked back. Number 4, The Temptations.
When it's cold outside,
4 left, and we have arrived at one of the most commercially successful and internally tormented groups in the history of American music.
I got the month of May.
The Temptations, Otis Williams, Melvin Franklin, Paul Williams, Eddie Kendricks, David Ruffin, and the revolving roster of extraordinary talent that followed them.
Well, I guess you say.
Multiple Grammy Awards, dozens of charting singles, one of the most recognizable sounds in all of soul music. and a Motown contract that for years kept them dependent on the label's goodwill for virtually every financial decision in their lives. The Temptations did not own their name. Motown did. They did not control their recording schedule, their producers, or the terms under which their music was licensed to television, film, or overseas markets. Every dollar generated by those licenses flowed through Motown's accounting system. First, a system that artist after artist has described as deliberately impenetrable. Paul Williams, one of the original five, suffered from a degenerative illness and alcoholism that deepened as his ability to perform diminished. He was quietly eased out of the group. By 1973, he was found dead of a self-inflicted gunshot wound, broke and broken. He was 34 years old. David Ruffin, whose voice on My Girl may be the most iconic moment in the group's catalogue, was fired in 1968 and spent decades chasing a financial stability that the Motown years should have guaranteed. He passed in 1991 with almost nothing. The Temptations are still performing today. But the men who built that name, the men whose voices made it matter, many of them died with far less than they deserved. There is something deeply uncomfortable about watching a group perform under a name they do not own. Singing songs whose masters they never controlled, to audiences who have no idea how much was taken from the men who originally made those songs matter. The Temptations brand is worth millions. The original Temptations died worth almost nothing. Number 3, The Supremes. And if this isn't the most painful story in the entire Motown catalogue, it is certainly the most visible. Because the Supremes were Motown's crown jewel, and what happened inside that group is a masterclass in how the industry destroys people it claims to celebrate. Diana Ross, Mary Wilson, Florence Ballard, 3 young women from the Brewster Douglas housing projects in Detroit. Once again, my love, feel your warmth. Signed to Motown as teenagers, shaped, styled, coached, and controlled by the label in ways that went far beyond music. Tell me, what did I do wrong? 12 #1 singles, international superstardom, the most successful female group in the history of American pop music at that point. And yet Florence Ballard, who by many accounts was the original driving force behind the group's formation, was pushed to the margins as Berry Gordy repositioned Diana Ross as the face and future of the act. When the group was officially rebranded as Diana Ross and the Supremes in 1967, Florence's days were numbered. She was removed from the group in 1967. The settlement she received was structured in ways that left her with far less than her contributions warranted, and no ongoing royalty income from the catalogue she had helped build. She signed away more than she understood. By the early 1970s, Florence Ballard, co-founder of the most successful female group in Motown history, was on public assistance, welfare, food stamps, living in Detroit in a home that was falling apart. She passed in February 1976 from a blood clot, and she was 32 years old. Mary Wilson spent the rest of her life fighting publicly, loudly, courageously for recognition and financial fairness for herself and for Florence's memory. She passed in 2021, still fighting. The Supremes gave Motown its glamour, its global reach, and its most iconic image. The label gave Florence Ballard a grave at 32. And here is the detail that should haunt every music fan who has ever loved a Supremes record. When Florence Ballard passed, Berry Gordy did not attend her funeral. The man whose label she helped build into a global empire, the man whose sister Diana Ross had become because of the group Florence founded, was absent. Some silences say everything. Number 2, The Spinners, and this one is the story of a group that Motown had in its hands.
Oh, your mind so high you won't come down. Hey, y'all.
Failed completely, and then watched become superstars the moment they walked out the door.
Prepare yourself for the rubber band, man.
The Spinners spent nearly a decade on the Motown roster from 1961 to 1970. 9 years.
You never heard a sound like the rubber band.
And in 9 years, the label released their material sporadically.
Well, did he learn that? Oh, Lord, huh?
Promoted them inconsistently and treated them as a secondary priority compared to the acts Berry Gordy considered more central to his vision.
Y'all help me get away. Hey, y'all.
They had one modest hit during their entire Motown tenure, It's a Shame, produced by Stevie Wonder in 1970. One in 9 years. But here's what makes this story sting so deeply.
Never heard a sound. You never seen him move.
When the Spinners finally left Motown and signed with Atlantic Records, working with producer Tom Bell in Philadelphia, they exploded. Or I'll Be Around.
Went to hear him play at a club outside of town.
Could it be I'm Falling in Love? Then came You with Dionne Warwick. Hit after hit after hit. They became one of the defining soul groups of the entire 1970s.
I was so surprised, I was hypnotized. Sound this cat.
The talent was always there. Motown had it sitting in their building for nearly a decade and did almost nothing with it. And the contracts the Spinners signed during those 9 quiet years meant that the small amount of music they did record for the label remained Motown's property, generating revenue for the label long after the group had moved on and proven, beyond any doubt, what they were capable of.
And then he had the nerve to wiggle his left foot.
9 years of their prime, locked in a system that didn't value them. And when they finally broke free, they became legends. The music industry calls that bad luck. We call it what it actually was. The Spinners went on to earn multiple gold records and Grammy nominations and a legacy that still holds up today. Every achievement they stacked at Atlantic was built on talent that Motown had dismissed and discarded. And every dollar they earned after leaving was a dollar Motown proved it never deserved to have in the first place. Number 1, the Funk Brothers. And if this name is unfamiliar to you, that is exactly the point. That is exactly why they are at the top of this list. The Funk Brothers. The house band at Motown Records from the late 1950s through the early 1970s. James Jamerson on bass, Benny Benjamin on drums. Earl Van Dyke on keys, Joe Messina, Robert White, and Eddie Willis on guitar. A rotating cast of the most gifted session musicians ever assembled under one roof. They played on more #1 records than the Beatles, the Rolling Stones, and Elvis Presley combined. Read that again. More #1 records than all 3 of those acts put together. Every Motown hit you have heard on this list today, the Supremes, the Temptations, the Four Tops, the Marvelettes, Marvin Gaye, Stevie Wonder, every single one of those records was built on the foundation the Funk Brothers laid down in a basement studio on West Grand Boulevard in Detroit that they called the Snake Pit.
Be confused if it's true, please.
They received no royalties, none. They were paid session fees, a flat rate per recording session, with no participation in the astronomical revenue those recordings generated.
That you let me go.
No back end, no publishing, no residuals when those songs were licensed, sampled, or streamed for decades to come.
Someone else instead I heard.
They were not listed on album credits for years. Motown's official position was that the music was the artist's, the band was invisible, interchangeable, irrelevant for promotional purposes. In James Jamerson, whose bass lines on records like Bernadette, What's Going On, and I Was Made to Love Her are studied in music schools to this day as works of genius died in 1983, largely unknown to the general public.
Much to me. You could have
Battling alcoholism and the physical deterioration that came from decades of financial and professional invisibility. It took a 2002 documentary, Standing in the Shadows of Motown, for the world to finally learn what these men had done and what had been taken from them.
through the grapevine, not much longer would you be.
The Funk Brothers built the Motown sound, Berry Gordy sold it, and the men who made it possible went home with session fees and silence. Number 1, without question, without argument, the most exploited group in Motown history. Today, James Jamerson's bass lines are required listening in music programs at universities across the world.
That you love so.
His technique is dissected, studied, and celebrated by professional musicians on every continent. He is recognized as a foundational genius of modern music.
Took me by surprise.
And he died without a single gold record on his wall, without a royalty check to his name, and without the public ever knowing who he was. That is not an oversight. That is a crime.
Everybody's talking, everybody knows.